I just had to make sure the two girls got ice cream when this was over.
Some found that exchange a bit bizarre. Joining us now, columnist and host of Ringside Politics, Jeff Crouere. What do you think, Jeff?
Bob, I mean, it's cringeworthy. That is the right way to describe it. Also, during Memorial Day, he had tweeted out a picture of him eating ice cream, talking to a young girl. There's the incident earlier in the year where he was flirting with an Arizona nurse and asked if she was a freshman in college. I mean, in all the legendary episodes where he's touching women inappropriately and young girls, it's just totally unbecoming of a president of the United States. We respect the office. We expect that person to act a certain way. And Joe Biden is just, I'm sorry, Bob and Heather, he's lost it. He's in mental decline. Look at his speeches. He can't even continue on with a speech. He forgets where he is. He forgets what he's doing. I can give you recent episodes. He even forgot who Kevin McCarthy was, and that is the Republican minority leader of Congress. That's an important person to remember, and he forgot his name.
Yeah, earlier in the week, we just mentioned this, President Biden making these remarks to this young girl who was sitting in the audience. We actually have that we can show people now.
I'm especially honored to share the stage with Brittany and Jordan and Nathan and Margaret Catherine. I love those barrettes in her hair, man. I tell you what, and look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady in her legs crossed.
Right, you can't see it there, but that little girl was, what, 6, 7 max, I think? I'm just guessing. You know, not only are these types of comments creepy to people, weird, the timing of them, especially the one in Tulsa, that was odd, given that he was there to commemorate the Tulsa massacre. You know, but the very real issue is what it does in terms of our national security, because we as Americans aren't the only ones seeing this happen.
Oh, no doubt about it. I'm sure our adversaries are thinking that we've got a mentally compromised president, that we have a president that doesn't have full capabilities. And we really have to question it. Remember, during the campaign, there was a reporter who asked Joe Biden, will you take a mental competency test? And he got so enraged, he accused him of being a junkie. I don't think he's ever taken a mental competency test, at least in recent years. And if I were a Republican in Congress, I'd be demanding that Joe Biden submit to that test so we know that our commander-in-chief is someone who's mentally capable of holding. And Bob and Heather, this is the most important job in the world. Yeah. There's no more stressful, more demanding job than being president. And I submit to you and the viewers that we have someone who's in that office who is not capable of serving as president of the United States.
And I wonder what his staff is doing, because there's stories out there that he has a short temper, he goes off, which actually doesn't bother me. I think a lot of leaders, you know, behind closed doors may be different than
we saw that, though, on the campaign trail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He would go off on somebody, didn't he challenge? It's like he wanted to fight somebody. But there is that pattern of inappropriateness that doesn't fit the moment. It's like he would go off on something. It's like, I understand getting ticked off. We all get ticked off over something, but over that? I don't know if that's a sign of mental deterioration, but a lot of people might wonder.
Oh, I think it definitely is. I think it definitely is. And I go back to that incident during the campaign where he had a gentleman challenge him about gun rights. And I think he might have been in an automobile factory. Yeah. And his name was Jerry Wayne, and he got so incensed he wanted to take Jerry Wayne out behind the facility, the plant, and get into a fight with him. And you know, he's made that comment about Donald Trump before when he was on the campaign trail. He wanted to take him behind the gym and punch him out. And he does have this inappropriate temper. I've read reports that he shows his anger very quickly, very easily in the White House to staff, and that's a troubling sign. You put all of this together, and to me, it leads to some very disturbing conclusions about the United States of America's leadership. Yeah. And again, I call on Republicans to demand that he submit to some testing so we know, so we can be assured that he's capable of serving as president.
Yeah, and
well, they demanded it of then President Trump.
And he took it.
Yeah.
Right.
And as somebody who's been around an older parent, you know, it doesn't have, it's not like a switch flips and then it's a gradual thing. And that may be what we're observing in public. Jeff, thanks for bringing that to us.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Heather.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.